Hello, I'm Ben Soifer and welcome to Money Management.
Hey everyone, welcome to the show Money Management. I'm very excited to have Brad Roth as our guest today. Brad Roth has been a friend of mine for a few decades now. We actually started out as rookies at Pinnacle Properties. That's right. Brad will be showing us that the crucial steps to achieving financial freedom start with compounding your money. Brad, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Ben. I appreciate the warm introduction. How are you today?
I'm great. I wanted to find out from you, finance, money management, it's a broad word. And just to you, as a businessman, as an entrepreneur, how did you first discover you wanted to be involved in the world of finance?
So it's a great question. At a very young age, my dad's was financial consultant for over 40 years. And he kind of, from as long as I can remember being on an airplane, wherever we were, he'd say, tell me what the rule of 72 is. I go, what? He'd go, compound interest. Tell me how you're going to make a living. And I'd be like, what? And then he'd say, your money doubles if you take $2,000 and you put it away at, 6 years old and get 12%. For 6 years, that's the rule of 72. And he's like, $2,000 equals 4, 4 equals 8, 8 equals 16, 16 equals 32, and so on. And he said, and when you start to get into your, 40s, 50s, you're really going to see what compound interest does because it starts to double, 100,000 doubles to 200,000. And it's just following cycles. So I was at a very young age. He really instilled in me how important it was to really watch your money and to really watch the cycles of not only the real estate world, but the finance world in general.
Yeah, makes sense. The compounding effect. I remember I heard Warren Buffett continuously speak about that. If you could give an advice to obviously yourself, as a young man, or as you were just getting into real estate, maybe your first few years in real estate, any specific pointers that really stick out,
right.
After obviously a few decades of being in the business, what could have potentially worked better for you.
Oh yeah. I mean, so many things. As successful as I've been in real estate, there's so many things that I wish I would have done more for instance, even from not selling, from holding on to my first asset, my first little townhome that I bought in Valencia. I'll never forget. I bought it for $184,000 and I sold it like a year later for $210,000, thinking, "Oh my God, I'm a mover and shaker. This is unbelievable. I made $30,000." Little did I know that thing went up, 5 years later to $450,000.
Yeah.
And so watching, if I could give myself a young Brad advice, or like I give my kids, one is to really know the cycles. So if I would have been able to really follow cycles better and understood it more, I would have known to wait and maybe rent it out. The other thing would be to pay yourself first. Another thing my dad always told me, look, pay yourself first. So if you make a $20,000 commission after you pay your company and everybody else, before you pay one bill, before you pay anything, pay yourself. Go throw 20 or 25% or 30% into a mutual fund or into a fund in order to buy property. But pay yourself first. Make sure your taxes are paid. All of that is great, but put that money away. And forget about it.
Whoa. Slow down. Let's analyze this major point provided by Brad. Researching and knowing the cycles like the back of your hand is important. Pay yourself first and make sure your dues are in check. Absolutely. And you know what, Brad? Again, 1031 exchanges and being able to keep your property for a certain amount of years or selling it without paying taxes for it. That's exactly, the most important items that a young investor should look at when they purchase, when they choose to hold their asset. Yeah. Because, the game plan is obviously what's going to happen in 10, 15, 20 years, not necessarily how much money am I going to make on this house right now.
Right. And that's okay though. Like as you know, to be able to take a house and say, okay, I'm in it for the short game. I'm going to, flip it and make a quick 30,000. That's great. If that's your game, right? If that's what you want to do. But if your plan is for the long haul, then you really need to look at a strategy, and you sit down with a guy like me or a guy like you. And
Brad, tell us a little bit about your podcast and your followers. It sounds like we're getting into some real estate, obviously.
Well, thank you for allowing me to do that. The name of my podcast is All Things Real Estate. And I really didn't want to get pigeonholed into one topic. And I felt that with All Things Real Estate, I could not only tell people what to expect during the buying and selling process, such as when I interviewed you on loans, and I just interviewed somebody on the moving and storage business, and anybody who has anything to do or wants to know about real estate.
That's phenomenal. That's really awesome. It sounds like you're pretty much sharing your entire experience, of selling real estate, buying real estate, dealing with investors.
And not only that, Ben, what I'm trying to do is actually do it nationwide. And I became a certified life coach. Been doing that because I've been mentoring for so many years. And I felt like I could bring my mentoring to my podcast and really help agents, not only with real estate, but with their real estate lives.
It's amazing when a person like yourself is willing to share and willing to coach and train. I wanted to go over, because it sounds like your profile of client is it's a vast one. So
Yes.
I wanted to find out your clients, how do you help them with their mental barriers for financial success when it comes to your client being, a buyer, a seller, an agent?
Great question. Ben, what I really do is I sit down with them and I talk to them. But not only do I talk to them, I listen to what their needs are. And I'll give you an example. I sat down with some clients a few weeks ago. Now, I sold them their house in Valencia. So, as you said, I have a vast variety, right? I'm not pigeonholed to one area. I'm everywhere. And I sold them their house about 8 years ago for $800,000. And they said, look, I would love to get $1.2 million, $1.3 million. And I said, I can get it for you. They said, no way. I said, sure. Now I got them $1.35 million. And they said, oh my God, this is amazing, but I can't believe it's happening. It's happening so quick. And they completely broke down. And we talked and we talked and we talked. And I realized it wasn't the right thing for them, that they loved their home and they didn't want to move. And I said to them, listen, don't worry about it. We'll take it off the market. We'll tell all the buyers, I'm sorry. You've changed your mind and you enjoy your home. This isn't the right deal for you. And they're like, I'm so sorry. You're going to lose all this money and you've put money into photography. And I said, that's okay. That's what I do. I'll be okay. I want you to be happy. So, Ben, what I do is I come up with a strategy for every client. Every client is different. Nobody's the same, as you know, right?
People involved in the financial world need to keep in mind that every situation and strategy needs to be different to fulfill the needs of the clients.
Whatever it is for my client, I never put my commission first. I put their happiness first.
That's phenomenal. How do you feel about that? Your perspective on the business world, has it changed?
Oh, tremendously. I used to think I was going to be a big actor and have a Learjet by the time I was 30. I didn't, realize again even though my dad instilled in me, have a plan, I always thought I was, too cool for that, and didn't realize until I was in my late 20s, early 30s, what kind of plan I really needed. And then to have children and to look at my kids, it's just the world is, to look at it through experienced eyes is so much different than being a young man.
I've been preparing, it feels like, since I was 10, 11 years old. I guess I was always looking ahead and saying, okay, if I go there, what do I do? And once I get there, how do I do it? So again, you hit the nail right on the mark, and it's all about preparation. And our opinions as we get older change. Anyone unexperienced or looking to get more experience in the financial world, go after every opportunity that will give you learning moments. That is crucial.
Yeah, experienced eyes, Ben. Experienced eyes can change perspectives, and it's funny. You made a great point on. You were talking about having a plan for each different thing.
Who so far in your life, as far as helping you in the path of achieving financial success, getting to where you want to be? You don't have to mention names, but obviously we all have mental help as we get to where we want to get. And I want to know what has helped you, who has helped you to get to where you've gotten.
It's a great question. Really, Ben, everybody. The way I mean that is, if you've listened to some of my podcasts, one of my favorite quotes is from John Wooden. And he says, everything you've ever learned in life, you've learned from someone. Everything you've ever learned in life, you've learned from someone. And that really hit me because as I do reflect back on who helped me, of course, look, the owners of my company at Pinnacle have been tremendous. They've helped me. Danny Ross has been phenomenal. Ben, watching you as a young man helped me. It was anyone who knows you knows that you were just a beast. You were unbelievable, just relentless with your constant work ethic. So watching a person like you gave me more motivation to do better. My dad, my sister, who's my finance consultant now, since my dad has passed. My brother-in-law is my stockbroker. I mean, really, just surrounding myself around people that I trust. It's a big thing.
Yeah, I agree with you. And thank you very much for the compliments. I don't think any of us can get to where we are without having a strong support system. And as we start out in life, we all know that that support system may not be there. Some of us that are lucky enough to have strong family, parents that can guide us, others don't. And
Right.
That's when we have to look at other examples and we have to, figure out what path do we want our life to take. And just like you said, based on the plan that we will set and how prepared will we be to execute that plan, that's what's going to guarantee our results.
One of the things that has actually helped me more than anything is figuring out that it's okay to ask for help. So when I first started in the business, I called all the realtors that I had heard of that I felt were successful. And I said, hey, my name's Brad Roth. I don't know you, but I'd love to take you to lunch. And I was taking people to lunch with nickels, dimes, and quarters because I didn't have any money. But I felt that by doing that, it gave me the right to ask questions. It helps me to be a bit more humble and understand that where I was going to skyrocket to the top. But I wanted to be able to ask questions and I wanted to be able to listen to the answers.
That's huge. A lot of people have that phobia of asking questions. Yours truly doesn't. I was running around asking anybody anything and didn't matter if they didn't want to speak to me, if they didn't want to tell me. I found someone else that gave me the answer I needed in order to continue on my path to success.
And that's huge, right? Good for you.
Absolutely. Brad, I have a feeling, you were following the same path and we're obviously still on that path because as we both know, life is a marathon, not a sprint. I thank you very much for being on our podcast. I look forward to seeing your podcast and your success in helping agents, in selling real estate, in becoming financially free ASAP. And I wish the same to all of our listeners.
Me too, Ben. And I appreciate the kind words. and having me on as well. It's been wonderful. And any of your listeners who want to hear me, please tune in on all your major podcasts to All Things Real Estate with Brad Roth.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Great show. I share it. Look out for Brad.